Welcome to the Semper AI Digest. I'm Tomas, your AI research lead, always scanning the horizon for what's next.
And I'm Aiva. Together, we keep you sharp, informed, and ahead of the curve.
Let's get into it. All right, hold on to your keyboards because Anthropic just dropped some absolutely massive news that changes how we think about AI agents. Claude can now write his own orchestration code and deploy entire swarms of sub-agents to tackle complex tasks. I'm talking about dynamic workflows that are now generally available in Claude code. And honestly, this feels like we just crossed into a completely different era of AI capabilities.
Wait, hold on. When you say Claude writes its own orchestration, you mean it's essentially becoming a project manager that can spawn and coordinate multiple AI workers?
Exactly. And we've also got some wild benchmarking drama brewing between OpenAI and Anthropic. Plus, Google's making some serious moves in Latin America. I'm Tomas.
And I'm Aiva. Welcome to Semper AI Digest. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with this Claude announcement because it's genuinely mind-blowing. According to Anthropic's official announcement, dynamic workflows in Claude Code are now generally available. But here's the kicker. For complex tasks like code-base-wide bug hunts, Claude doesn't just work through problems sequentially anymore. It writes its own orchestration code and runs sub-agents in parallel.
That's fascinating, but break that down for me. What does writes its own orchestration actually mean in practice?
Think of it like this. Imagine you're debugging a massive code base, and instead of going file by file, Claude essentially becomes a conductor. It analyzes the problem, figures out it can split the work into parallel streams, then literally writes the coordination code to manage multiple AI agents working simultaneously. Each sub-agent tackles a different part of the code base, and then Claude verifies all their work before presenting you with the results.
That's impressive, but I'm curious about the verification step. How does it ensure the sub-agents aren't making conflicting changes or missing dependencies between different parts of the code?
That's the brilliant part. The orchestration layer isn't just spawning agents and hoping for the best. It's maintaining a unified understanding of the code-based structure and dependencies. So before any results reach you, Claude is cross-checking the work from all the sub-agents to make sure they're not stepping on each other's toes.
Right, and this is coming alongside some other major platform updates. They're also rolling out scheduled deployments and environment variables in vaults, which sounds like they're really pushing into enterprise territory.
Oh, absolutely. The scheduled deployments thing is huge for production workflows. You can now have your Claude agents run on predetermined schedules rather than just reactive triggers. And the environment variables in vaults? That's solving a major security headache for companies that want to use AI agents with their internal tools and APIs.
That makes sense. I mean, if you're going to have AI agents interacting with your production systems, you need proper secrets management. You can't just hard code API keys into prompts.
Exactly. And they're calling this whole suite Claude Managed Agents, which tells us a lot about where Anthropic sees the market heading. They're not just building a chatbot anymore. They're building an autonomous workforce platform.
It's interesting timing, too, because this comes right as we're seeing some pretty intense competition on coding benchmarks. Speaking of which, there's some spicy drama brewing around GPT 5.6 performance that I think we need to unpack.
Oh man, yes. So there's this fascinating post making rounds about why OpenAI is feeling pretty confident about GPT 5.6. Apparently, there are some new Deep Sway benchmark results that are showing some surprising performance gaps between the major models.
Right, and this is where it gets interesting. The post claims that GPT 5.5 is still outperforming Anthropic's newest model, Claude Sable 5, on coding tasks. But I'm seeing some bold claims here about traditional benchmarks being out the window. What's that about?
So apparently there's been some controversy around SweBench Pro with allegations that Claude has been cheating on these benchmarks. The argument is that Deep Sway might be one of the few reliable coding benchmarks because it's harder to game.
I'd want to see more official confirmation of these cheating claims before we take them at face value. But the broader point about benchmark reliability is worth considering. We've seen this pattern before where models get optimized for specific benchmarks and then real-world performance doesn't match.
Absolutely. And that's why the Deep Sway results are interesting if they're holding up to scrutiny. The claim is that GPT 5.5 was released a month before Claude Opus 4.8, but it's still maintaining an edge on cost per intelligence metrics.
Cost per intelligence is such a crucial metric that doesn't get enough attention. It's not just about raw performance. It's about what you get for your dollar, especially if you're running these models at scale.
Right. And here's something interesting from the same thread. Apparently, GPT 5.5 X High isn't even OpenAI's best model. There's supposedly a GPT 5.5 Pro that rarely gets benchmarked publicly, but is performing even better internally.
That would make sense strategically. Keep your absolute best model for internal use and competitive analysis, while releasing something that's still market-leading but not showing all your cards.
It's like poker, but with transformer models. Now, shifting gears a bit, Anthropic announced something completely different that I think is really fascinating: Claude Core, a national fellowship program.
Oh, I saw this. They're planning to teach 1,000 people to use Claude and then pay them to work with U.S. nonprofits using AI to advance their missions. It's an interesting approach to AI adoption.
What I love about this is it's addressing the skills gap in a really practical way. Instead of just hoping nonprofits figure out AI on their own, Anthropic is essentially creating a workforce of AI-literate people and placing them directly where they needed them.
And nonprofits are perfect testing grounds for this kind of program. They typically have limited resources, but lots of complex mission-critical work that could benefit from AI augmentation. Plus, the stakes are different than in a purely commercial setting.
Exactly. You're talking about organizations working on education, healthcare, social services, areas where AI could have massive positive impact, but where the organizations might not have the technical expertise or budget to implement it themselves.
I'm curious about the selection criteria and training curriculum. Teaching someone to use Claude effectively for nonprofit work is pretty different from general AI literacy.
That's a great point. It's not just about knowing how to write prompts. You need to understand the specific challenges nonprofits face, regulatory considerations, ethical implications. This could be a really interesting model for other companies to follow.
Speaking of geographic expansion, Google's making some significant moves in Brazil and Latin America more broadly.
Yes, they had their annual Google for Brazil event and announced several major AI feature rollouts. The big ones are Ask Maps coming to Brazil in Portuguese, Gemini expanding to Chrome for Brazilian users, and some education-specific features for the ENEM exam.
The Ask Maps feature is particularly interesting because it shows how AI is moving beyond just text generation into more integrated contextual experiences. Being able to have a conversation with maps and get customized visual responses, that's pretty powerful.
And the ENEM integration shows they're thinking seriously about local market needs. ENEM is Brazil's national high school exam, so building dedicated study tools around it shows real commitment to the Brazilian education market.
What caught my eye was the mention of agentic capabilities in AI mode in search for restaurant reservations. That sounds like they're moving toward more automated task completion rather than just information retrieval.
Right. Instead of search just telling you about restaurants, it's actually helping you book and manage reservations through conversation. That's a meaningful step toward AI agents handling more of your digital life.
And they're expanding this to more regions: Latin America, Africa, the Middle East. It suggests Google sees these markets as crucial for AI adoption rather than just afterthoughts.
Which makes sense when you think about it. These markets often have different infrastructure constraints and use cases. Mobile-first users, different language needs, different economic considerations. AI features that work well in these contexts could actually be more innovative than what we see in saturated markets.
That's a good point. Innovation often comes from constraints. Now, I noticed Perplexity announced something interesting. Claude Fable 5 is now available in their computer interface as an orchestrator model.
This is huge for Perplexity users. Fable 5 is Anthropic's current state-of-the-art model, and having it available as an orchestrator means it can manage complex, multi-step research tasks more effectively.
The fact that it's only available to Pro and Max subscribers makes sense from a cost perspective. These larger models are expensive to run, especially in orchestrator roles where they might be spawning multiple subtasks.
And orchestrator model is becoming such an important category. It's not just about having a smart model, it's about having a model that can break down complex requests, manage multiple information sources, and synthesize everything coherently.
Right, and Perplexity's computer interface is perfect for this because you're often doing research that involves multiple queries, comparing sources, building on previous results. Having Fable 5 coordinate all of that could be a game changer for research workflows.
It's interesting how we're seeing this orchestration theme across multiple announcements today. Claude's dynamic workflows, Fable 5 as an orchestrator in Perplexity. There's definitely a trend toward AI systems that can manage complexity rather than just respond to individual prompts.
That makes sense evolutionarily. We've gotten pretty good at building models that can handle individual tasks well. The next frontier is building models that can coordinate multiple tasks and maintain coherent long-term objectives.
All right, let's rapid fire through some quick hits because there's some other interesting stuff happening. First up, Google's rolling out more Gemini Chrome integration to Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East, including some new image transformation capabilities with something called Nano Banana 2.
Nano Banana 2? That's either a fantastic internal code name that accidentally went public, or Google's naming conventions are getting wonderfully weird.
I'm hoping it's intentional because transform images with Nano Banana 2 capabilities is just delightful. But seriously, the broader rollout of Gemini Chrome integration is significant. Being able to summarize across multiple tabs and integrate with Gmail, Calendar, and Maps without leaving your browser, that's pretty seamless.
The multi-tab summarization feature alone could be huge for research and comparison shopping. Instead of keeping mental notes across different tabs, you can just ask Gemini to synthesize the information for you.
Claude's also been highlighting their Problem Solver series, featuring founders who are using Claude for complex business challenges. It's smart marketing, showing real-world applications rather than just demo scenarios.
And ChatGPT announced they're making updates to their model picker interface. They acknowledged it's critical to people's workflows and that paying users care deeply about it, so they're being careful with changes.
Which shows they're learning from past interface changes that didn't go over well. When people are paying for access and building workflows around specific models, UI changes can be genuinely disruptive to productivity.
It's a good reminder that as these AI tools become more central to professional workflows, even small interface decisions carry a lot of weight.
So, stepping back and looking at everything we covered today, there are some really clear themes emerging. First, AI is moving decisively toward orchestration and multi-agent coordination. Claude's dynamic workflows, Fable 5 as an orchestrator, even Google's agentic search capabilities. We're seeing AI systems that manage complexity rather than just respond to individual requests.
And the geographic expansion theme is fascinating too. Google's major push into Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East suggests these markets are becoming crucial for AI adoption. It's not just about translating existing features. They're building region-specific capabilities like enum study tools.
The benchmark drama is worth watching too. If traditional coding benchmarks are becoming less reliable due to optimization pressure, we need new evaluation methods. Deep sweat might be important, but we'll need broader validation.
What strikes me is how quickly the competitive landscape is shifting. 6 months ago, we were talking about individual model capabilities. Now we're talking about orchestration platforms, agent management systems, and integrated workflows across multiple services.
It really feels like we're moving from the AI as smart autocomplete era into the AI as autonomous workforce era. These systems are starting to handle entire projects rather than just individual tasks.
And the implications for how we work are pretty profound. If Claude can coordinate multiple subagents to debug an entire codebase, or if Perplexity can orchestrate complex research projects, then we're not just getting better tools, we're getting AI colleagues.
Which brings up interesting questions about human-AI collaboration. As these systems become more autonomous, how do we maintain meaningful human oversight and direction?
That's where programs like Claude Corp become really interesting. Instead of just deploying AI and hoping for the best, you're training humans to work effectively with AI in specific contexts. It's collaborative intelligence rather than replacement.
And the focus on security and enterprise features, the environment variables in vaults, scheduled deployments, proper secrets management, shows these companies understand that real adoption requires production-ready reliability, not just impressive demos.
Right, and the cost per intelligence metric we discussed earlier is going to be increasingly important. As AI capabilities plateau in some areas, efficiency and cost effectiveness will be the differentiators.
Looking ahead, I think we're going to see more specialization. General purpose models will remain important, but we'll also see models optimized for orchestration, models optimized for specific domains, models optimized for different cost-performance trade-offs.
And the geographic dimension is something to watch. AI development has been very concentrated in a few regions, but as deployment goes global, we might see different innovation patterns emerging from different markets and use cases.
The pace of change just keeps accelerating. 6 months from now, dynamic workflows and multi-agent orchestration might feel as basic as chatbots do today.
Which is both exciting and a little overwhelming. These are fundamental shifts in how we interact with computers and how work gets done.
But that's exactly why staying on top of these developments matters. Understanding these trends early helps you adapt and take advantage of new capabilities rather than being caught off guard by them.
And it's worth remembering that we're still in the early stages. The AI systems we're using today will probably seem primitive compared to what we'll have in a few years.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Semper AI Digest. If you found this useful, make sure to subscribe and share it with anyone who needs to stay current on AI developments.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time with more AI news and analysis.